Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the annual running of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Happy Holidays 200 here from Michigan, the 2022 version. As drivers here tonight from all different series under the RTG banner get ready for some Christmas fun 90-lap event here in Michigan. I'm Seth Colby, joined by Jessica Shelton. And Jess, all the championships have been decided. Now it's just time for these drivers to end out the year, heading here to this 2-mile speedway slash super speedway and have a little bit of fun before the end of the year.
Absolutely, they got this is just like one of the greatest times of the year where everyone just can just enjoy themselves, go out there, fun little exhibition race that they have every single year here at RTG. And not only are we going to have a little bit of fun with the nuances of seeing this track, seeing what they have, what they can do, and whatnot, it's also really interesting that we talk about being a super speedway type style stuff because it's CTS physics and 90 laps 2x. This actually might come down to a legit Michigan of fuel mileage if we're not careful.
Really could. 90 laps, so, we've heard the fuel number around 20 laps or so could come down to fuel strategy. We've seen a lot of drivers in practice really pushing up off the corner. Not so if maybe they're just kind of overstepping the limits of what their car and their tires can do, testing the waters there in practice, and they dial it back here during the race. But tire wear and tire heat conservation, that's certainly going to be a talking point here today. But at the same time, like I said, this is just an exhibition race. It's all for fun to end out the season with a W. So drivers might be more inclined to kind of take those risks and force the issue a little bit more than they would if this was a points paying situation.
Absolutely, and with them all being pretty good friends and whatnot, I mean, what better way of being aggressive but having a good time, all together at one moment? I mean, a really good way to end the year and a really good way to start the new year. And speaking of starting the new year, we also have a few drivers, at least, like Jeremy Jeffries. He's usually in the 8 and he's in the 1, and that will be, something different for us to see as well with their Christmas themes as well.
Yeah, a lot of different drivers you'll see here tonight. As you alluded to, Jess, they're going to be in different numbers than we're used to seeing them in. You mentioned Jeffries. Also noticed on the entry list, the 44. This is going to be piloted by Jason Scheck. We're used to seeing him in the 1. So, yeah, an opportunity for drivers to kind of give a little bit of a precursor of what to expect in the upcoming 58th season in the respective RTG series. As they're gritting up here on pit road. It's going to be Santa Prime on the pole. Yes, I got permission to say that because that's actually the name above the driver window on Sean Prime's number 15 here tonight. He gets that pole position 0.003 of a second over Jeff Supta, who line up on the outside of the front row. In the third position is going to be Tim Nofsker. Fourth place, Dave Melson. Jeremy Jeffries in that number 1. He'll be lined up in the 5th position. Frank Rivard alongside of him in row 3 in 6th. 7th place is where you'll find Brian Schilling, Grant Wesley 8th, Greg Palmer, and Josh Metallic are going to complete the top 10. Ron Lucet, he's in 11th. Doug Hulick in 12th. Jim Glaude will roll off 13th. He's the defending winner of this event from 2021. Bernie Mobbs will complete row 7 with Richard Martin in the 15th position. Andre Charest in 16th. Chuck McClure, he's in 17th. John Godfrey, 18th. Row 10, comprised of Glenn Harris and Ronnie Sullins. Mark Pagley and Bobby Farrell, they're back in row 11. They were the last drivers to take time. Doug Cady and JT Mayhew, they'll be back in row 12. Dave Robbins, Jason Scheck, David Cannon, and Kelly Causey. That's the rest of the field here tonight. 26 drivers going to take the green flag for tonight's Christmas Spectacular. Bright yellow pace car going to make its way onto pit lane, and he will leave the field in the hands of Sean Prime, who'll bring us down the long straightaway to the start-finish line, and the 2022 Happy Holidays 200 is green.
It's not going to take them long before they start moving, I don't think so. As wide as this track is, plenty of options early on.
It's funny, I was talking to a couple of drivers before we came on the air, and they said that this track, it's just like you would expect Michigan or Auto Club, the 2-mile type racetracks to be. It's all about momentum,
Whoa!
and you want to take that momentum somewhere. The first thought is not to lift. That first thought when you get a big run is, I got to go somewhere with this.
Yeah, and you're talking about thinking not lift. Right off the bat, right away off of turn 2, I saw a few drivers get really close to that high side wall off of 2, Seth. They gotta watch that.
Almost wondering if you're in the early going, if maybe there's just not enough grip up in that third line at the current point in time. Maybe the tire's a little bit cold, a little bit slidey. I mean, obviously, you can see there's still snow laying
Look at
around here.
Paglia pushing up right here in the 28. He's really up there.
I mean, the snow still in the infield and everything. The crews here at Michigan International Speedway doing a great job of making sure that they plowed the snow off the banking, off the turns, off of pit road.
Don't
But you
say
can
the
see it
word
laying
plow.
down there.
Don't be saying the word plow.
Oh,
right
that's
now.
true. I mean, we ended up seeing a couple of cars in practice. They spun out over there in 3 and 4, and they completely disappeared into the snowbank. That could happen here in the race.
Well, I'm just calling the point. Listen, I'd rather get lost in a snowbank where I know I'm inside the track than outside the track, like 4 miles away in a tree or something like a llama.
That's a good point. I mean, I'm wondering which would be less of an impact, a safer barrier or a snowbank. My guess is probably the safer barrier. I'm not sure a snowbank, especially
a
if it's
safer
packed in,
barrier. If
it would
you hit the
move.
safer barrier, then at least you can still continue with the snowbank. You may not be going anywhere at all.
That's true. That's a good point. Also, should point out as well, it is moderate damage for these drivers here tonight. So kind of very much similar to the Tally Challenge. Drivers that we see involved in incidents may not necessarily be done for the evening, might be able to continue on depending on where the impact was and how heavy the impact was. Another thing I love about these type of races, these exhibition races, especially something that's Christmas themed, is you see the different themed cars out there. We saw, of course, the red, white, and green of Sean Prime's number 15. You've now got the toys for Tots number 1 of Jeremy Jeffries out in front. And what race wouldn't be complete without the Grinch making an appearance? That's Brian Schilling there, now moving into the second spot.
I've been looking around with some of these Christmas ones, Seth. I'm sitting here looking back here at the '08 as well. I mean, it's Coca-Cola. I mean, Coca-Cola's been part of the Christmas thing. Chuck McClure's up here in the 17. He's got that Simpsons ride going on, and old retro back in the early 90s, the Air Force number 23, even though I don't remember what number was actually the Air Force one. But, yeah, Doug Hewlick with the old retro style going on. I'm not sure exactly what sponsor specific Ronald has over here on the 62 machine, but it's still a Christmas festive as well.
I believe it's the, I'm not exactly sure what the sponsor is either, but I believe it's the sponsor that we normally see him drive. He's just Christmasified up the car, and I mean, drivers are able to do that too. They can keep the normal sponsor that they've had for season to season, just add that special Christmas look to it. A couple of drivers kind of read each other's minds, it seems like, here tonight. Jeff Supta in the 11 and JT Mayhew in the 338. Both of them actually have, and I'm hoping I say this correctly because I never saw the movie. I had to look it up. Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, I believe, is what the movie is called, and actually both of them have it featured on their respective cars.
Don't feel bad, I haven't seen the movie either.
I've heard of Christmas Vacation, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, National Lampoon, they've got a few different movies and scenarios. I've never seen any of them, unfortunately, and I hate to say that. But what I have noticed, though, Seth, going back to the back here, you got Shaq, Paglia, Buckshot of Kelly Causey back here, Dave Robbins. They seem to kind of, yeah, I don't know whether they were racing amongst themselves and lost track, or I don't know what's going on back here. They're kind of a little bit further away.
Kind of in ride mode. There they are. Back around the 25th to 29th positions, it looks like right now for these drivers. There's Causey, the Crisco 00. Trying to remember what that's a throwback scheme.
That is a throwback to Buck Baker and
That's right, yes.
And Benny. I believe Benny Parsons drove it a couple of times as well. Bill Elliott drove it because I've thrown that at you a couple of times as well.
Of course,
remember in the Grand National Series.
Red, yellow, and black, that Texaco Haviland scheme, the Davey Allison scheme there, that Mark Paglia's got, and then the 44 of Jason Scheck, that Pontiac. There's one car in the field that I noticed in practice, and I'm not necessarily certain how aerodynamically sound it is. Of course, these drivers here tonight driving the Aero 88 mod, but I was noticing the 711 of John Godfrey. There he is, and I love the Christmas bow on the front of the car, but I'm not necessarily certain if that's going to be helping the engine at all. There's not, I wouldn't think there's a whole lot of air intake into that front grille with the bow stuck there.
He's just trying to show off. You know that. He's like, he's gonna go across start finish line, whether he wins or finishes decent one way or the other. He's gonna have that little bow. I don't know what he's gonna do with it afterward, though.
I love the incorporation of the bow on there, though, especially with the flat nose of that Buick Regal. Looks really nice on that car.
You might be able to think about doing that with the Chevrolet logo too, with the Chevy logo, the bow tie.
Turn a bow tie into a Christmas bow tie? Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if you could do that or not.
Well, nobody up at the front's been able to hold on to the race lead. We saw Brian Schilling take a turn, Jeremy Jeffries take a turn. Now Sean Prime has gone back to the point. They're the only three that have led laps aside from Tim Nofsker, who also has a lap led so far in this race. But only driver that's led more than 5 laps here today is Sean Prime. He's about to lead his 6th. The other drivers have led no more than 2 laps. So that says to me that what we had heard earlier about the ability to be able to generate a run and make a move, these drivers are definitely taking option B, which is take that momentum somewhere rather than lift. Because, you know, Auto Club Michigan mentioned their momentum tracks. You lift, look at how everybody's all wadded up nose to tail. You lift, you lose momentum. There's going to be a half dozen drivers behind you ready to take advantage and pick up the positions from you.
And remember what I mentioned when we got started, like, you know, we were talking about that turn 2 wall, how it was really scary getting really close to it. And you were mentioning about lifting as well, and the tire wear and whatnot. That might be one of the reasons why we see that big separation from several people on back to where Pagley and Scheck and Kelly Collison and Bobby Carroll are.
Might be trying to preserve the tires. Might also have been of the thought, kind of a super speedway mentality of that there might be trouble up ahead, and so, you know, let's hang at the back here so that way we have a bit of an exit venue if they do wreck and we don't get swept up in it. But we've been able to stay green here for the first 11 laps, about to complete the 12th lap under green flag conditions, which means we're more than halfway home through a fuel run. I mean, these drivers already having to start to think about pit road at this point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. But when we come to pit road, I mean, you've seen it too. We gotta really communicate to know, hey, this guy's pitting. You make sure you move to the right lane so you don't run him over. Plus, with them going to the speed, we're talking about tire wear slowing down from 185-ish, 190 roughly, all the way down to what is it, 45 for pit road?
I believe it's 55 here, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, either way, I mean, this isn't, I mean, it's a 2-mile track, but this isn't Talladega and Daytona. It's going to be a little bit more, sophisticated to try to get on that pit road lane.
Yeah, and when you consider, too, Michigan isn't necessarily the easiest pit road to get onto. It's not the hardest, but it's not the easiest either. And we know that these drivers, a lot of them racing the Tally Challenge, they like to hot pit. The last thing you want to do, even if it is an exhibition race, is end up putting yourself behind the 8 ball with an early penalty and have to maybe rely on a caution or some really fancy pit strategy to get yourself back into contention. As got a battle here for the lead. Josh Metallic gonna challenge for the first time here tonight for the top position.
You notice they're getting really racy where you're talking about Josh Metallic up there, all the way back here.
Oh, how about 3 wide? 3 wide for the lead. Jeremy Jeffries says, hey, I'll take the shorter way into turn 1. Let's see who backs out of this situation.
They're really racy. They're going from the middle line to the bottom line. I'm not sure they're trying to get position to pit or whether this is how they feel favorable to run that specific line or not. Seth, I don't know if it's like you want to be on the bottom at a certain point of this track because they're already in the middle to the bottom and back to the middle, it seems like. And they're like side by side all the way. You got all the way back where 16th is, where Brian Schilling is with John Godfrey back here. I mean, I have no idea.
Brian Schilling, if I'm not mistaken, he almost got the wall a couple of laps ago off of turn 2. Saw him push up the track, have to really bail out of the throttle. That's why he's back here now outside of the top 10. Crossed the line in 13th last time by. just trying to get those tires cooled down. Sean Prime might have almost brushed the wall that time off of turn 2 and nearly had Craig Palmer's Bacardi machine into the back of him.
Looking back here, Jason Scheck and Bobby Farrell battling for what looks to be 26th, 27th position back here, and they kind of lost touch with Mark Paglia, who's barely hanging on to Dave Robbins and Kelly Colletti, Seth. I mean, they would really need something good to work in their favor for them to catch up at this point.
I think they, right at the moment, would certainly need a caution to be able to get back into contention. Either that or they'd need these drivers, their times to really fall off. The only issue is, while we can clearly see based off of the lap times, I mean, most of these drivers, their best laps somewhere in the 38.6s, 38.7s, and they've already dropped down to around 39.2s and 39.3s. The big thing is they're still in the draft, so they are producing a lot more straightaway speed than a lot of those stragglers there at the back of the pack. So in the early going, you got about a half dozen drivers that really would love to see that caution flag come out
I'm
about
not
now.
gonna lie, they're like getting really close to that wall in turn 1 to get ready for their entry and how they approach the corner. And with them all jumbled up like that and coming off of 2 like this, it's really making me nervous right now, especially when we got pit stops coming in the next couple laps.
Bit of sparks coming off those right rear flares a couple of times there going into turn 1. Doesn't hurt the car, but yeah, to your point, I mean, when you go deep into turn 1, you've got to hope that your car is not going to push up off the corner, because they've been double wide all the way from the front to the end of this lead pack. The entirety of this thing, nobody has been able to get away from anyone else.
I'm also beginning to wonder, you know, there are certain tracks that I've been on before where I'll start like letting off. Oh, there goes someone around all the way on the apron. Grant Wesley all the way in the apron, South in the 88 machine.
He saved it. Nice job there by Grant Wesley. That Gatorade machine able to gather it back up. Crossed the line last time by in the 7th position. He's going to be way back here now. JT Mayhew crossed the line 22nd, so Grant will probably be about 23rd when he crosses the start-finish line this time. Fortunately, all that runoff there on the back straightaway, though, for Grant Wesley to be able to keep that thing underneath him. Even if you go into a spin here on the back straightaway, it's a good chance you can get that car, get those brakes locked down, and not hit the inside wall. So that runoff is a saving grace for these guys.
Probably kill his tires, though.
For sure.
But, hey, what I was saying, though, is previously, like, there's a point in time, certain tracks where I'll be coming off of 4 and I'll be letting off or lightly touching the brake or whatever, and either I'll start to lose control and it, like, just wants to spin out on the apron area, or I'll randomly push up and get really super tight. And that goes back to what you were saying, side by side. If some of these drivers have that same issue that I have every once in a while, then that would be a big factor of being side by side going off of 4 like that when they have to pit.
Had some contact right there. Ron Lucet, John Godfrey. This is just outside of the top 10. Dave Melson now making a move on Jim Gloud in the 72. Mentioned Gloud. He ended up winning this event last year. Gloud about one of the best in the business when it comes to preserving those good years on the long run. That played a big part into him winning this event last year, and he had worked his way up to the 10th position, now starting to drop back there on that top side, and we've crossed lap 22, so these drivers have got to be somewhere close to thinking about coming to pit lane. I would have to assume Grant Wesley's going to be one of the first, especially screaming for those fresh tires. Top 3 single file. Battle is on for the 4th position. And before they end up making these green flag pit stops, mention the fact that these drivers have, in the respective series, they've fought, they've clawed to try and win championship gold. So we're going to shout out the champions here for the season 57 championships. You have Jeremy Jeffries. He was a 3-time champion this season. He won the Triple X championship. He also won the
pit stops coming, Seth. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Nope, got pit stops coming. All right, I'll shout out those champions afterwards then, because, yep, hand out the window
Check is already
here.
pitted. Check was the first one I saw come in.
John Prime's coming down this time. Jeremy Jeffries. Oh, Oh,
Grant,
Timnovsker, look at him lock up the brakes here. That's what hot
Doug
pitting is,
Cady,
folks.
Doug Cady in the 007 completely missed pit road, Seth.
I think I did see him just above that bank. There you see him there crossing the start-finish line. No caution, never spun, but he did miss pit road entry.
And that's going to kill his momentum big time.
Gonna lose him a lot of track position for sure. Jim Glaude was in this lap. Grant Wesley, Brian Schilling. There's Scheck now leaving pit road. Richard Martin's in. Mark Paglia.
Second group about to come in. Or the third group, however you want to say it.
Yep,
Andre
gonna lead
Cheris. Looks like Chuck McClure, Josh Metallica. I'm not sure if McClure actually came in or not.
John Godfrey and Greg Palmer got together at pit road entry. That won't bring out a caution because that is deemed off the racing surface. Doug Cady gonna have to avoid Godfrey, trying to get his car turned back around. Fortunately, we have that wall separating the racetrack from pit lane. I'm not necessarily certain that that contact would have sent a car out onto the racetrack, but nonetheless, keeps us from having the caution fly, as here comes group number 3. Frank Rivard, Ronald Lucet, Dave Melson, Glenn Harris. How in the world did the 23 of Doug Hewlick...
Yeah,
okay, for some reason my eyes are playing tricks with me. I thought that the edge of the snowbank there was a wall. I thought he had hit the wall, but he actually skimmed the edge of that snowbank. The wall doesn't start till pit stalls start. Okay, my heart was in my throat because I thought we were going to see the 23 get skewered on the pit wall there for a moment.
And how do you think he felt?
Oh my goodness. Very lucky that the driver's not on the right side of the car, otherwise he would have had a face full of snow.
I don't think the car would like it that much. And
No,
by the
I
way,
don't think so.
It was mentioned Saturday night during another event about the snow and whatnot, Seth. I wonder what type of tires they got going on with this Goodyear combo, because Joe mentioned about us being on the snow and all. Wouldn't mind having some type of good tire like that, wouldn't you?
Well, for sure. I mean, obviously, the snow's still there. I mean, we've got about 6-7 feet of snow here in the infield, so the temperatures are certainly frigid. That snow is not melted. And the fact that these tires and the tire heat is building up and these drivers are dealing with it.
Speaking of that, what's the temperature here at Michigan right now?
Somehow it says we are a clear 70. I'm not sure how the snow is still on the ground in that case.
You want to know what this is, right? It's a Poteet Christmas miracle. That's what it is.
It is. It is. It is indeed a Christmas miracle. The snow is defying all laws of science.
Grant Wesley, on the outside of Ronald Lucet, Grant's kind of somewhat brought himself back up into this pack, Seth.
And he came to pit road with the first group of cars. So, yeah, you're right. A net gain of about 11-12 spots there for Grant Wesley just on that green flag pit stop alone. He's about to crack back into the top 10. We have one driver that is already out of the race, unfortunately, and that is the 44 of Jason Scheck. He had just fallen a lap down. Not certain if he ended up having any contact between the start of that round of pit stops and the conclusion, but looks like he'll finish 27th.
But look, okay, so you got Josh Metallic running in 5th, and you would think and assume that he's leading this pack, but like I said, he's 5th. The top 4 are pretty far away. They're on a single file, pretty much. Just check it out, and that's with Brian Schilling, Jeremy Jeffries, Tim Nosker, and our leader, Sean Prime.
Yeah, that is your top 4 right there, and drop back to that second group you were talking about, being led by the 39 of Josh Metallic. They are currently about 4.2 seconds behind the race leader, according to our telemetry. They could maybe reel them in, but we've seen more often than not, especially at the speedways, where if you end up having 2, 3, 4 cars that are nose to tail single file, they're actually going to pull away from the bigger group. It's much different from a super speedway where usually the numbers game is the advantage in terms of speed and being able to reel in the smaller pack.
Absolutely, and whoa, a little bit of a quick jostle there with the 35 of Frank Rivard. They're going to that bottom line right behind the 11 of Jeff Supta. But like you're saying, With them being single file and checking out, now the question comes into play. Do you have to, with 60 laps to go, do you have to really consider, okay, it might go green the rest of the way, do we need to do something on pit stops that would actually get us in and out and actually be somewhat competitive? That's what you're probably trying to wonder at this point.
I think for the top four, the strategy is easy. Just basically get to your fuel window, come to pit lane together, leave together. I think more of the pressure strategy-wise is on fifth place on back. They got to be
Yeah, that's what
wondering
I was
how in the
referring to.
yeah, like how in the world do we make up 4 seconds? I mean, if they can kind of pull off whatever Grant Wesley did there on that green flag pit stop, it probably would work for them to get up in
They're
that
getting
lead
single
pack.
file. They're single file now, Seth.
And that's got to be difficult because with what we were told, the runs that you can generate with these cars, I mean, you're kind of having to police yourself right now, not take advantage of those runs, back off to make sure that you've got everybody in formation to get that straightaway speed and lead in and reel in the top four. Last time by, fifth place Jeff Supto was 4.5 seconds behind the race leader Sean Prime. So they have lost ground. We'll keep you documented on if they are going to chip away at that top four's race lead or not.
What's really scary about... Oh, Jim Gloud into the wall off the two. Ouch.
And he's going to lose touch now with that second pack. He was going to caboose on that train.
You see how much momentum he lost at that point, too. He's now going down to the 70s while they're going in the 80s. So there's a couple mile per hour difference now after hitting that wall the way he did. But what I was assuming was, like, you're talking about those four by themselves, right? Just running around. That's going to be really a comfort for them. Just four. When you get back here to having a pack of Glenn Harris, Nelson, Grant, Demar, Ronald, Frank, Josh, and Supa, drivers who have been around the Speedway and the Super Speedway game for a while, going in a straight line and how competitive and how, they are, that run like you're talking about, Seth, you want to go somewhere with it, but also we got to think about the checkups.
Right.
So, and all it takes is one big checkup, and then guess what? You lose another member.
And that, when you also consider, too, you end up being 5th, 6th, 7th car in line, you're getting the huge benefit of the draft, and you're probably going to have your car, kind of in the case of Jim Gloud, get a lot tighter off the corner than drivers up there second or third in that line, since they would be closer to the clean air on the nose, as we just had an exchange for second. And
yeah,
I'm almost wondering if that was planned, or if Nofsker might have gotten a little tight off of two, and Jeremy Jeffries had to take his momentum to the inside to make that pass for second place. Could also be these guys swapping positions around to make sure they can all make it to a certain point on fuel.
Yeah, we're on the lap 35 mark completed now, or we're starting 35, I apologize. And with that being said, we went, 25 laps on that first run? So the next one we were looking at would be, 49 to 51?
About that, yeah. Which would still put them one pit stop shy of reaching the conclusion of this race. But, man, I'll tell you what, last year we saw a number of cautions fly in that special event. This year, though, we have almost reached the halfway point, and we've yet to see a caution. Not to say we've not been without incident. We had the Grant Wesley near spin on the back straightaway.
Okay, you just keep jinxing yourself, okay? You jinx it, and then it's all going to be your fault.
I mean, I'm just pointing out the obvious. They've seen the footage already.
Yeah, you can go talk to Schilling and see if you can borrow the Grinch car. Yeah, you're just being a little Grinch right now, Seth.
I am being a Grinch. I'm right now seeing all the Who's and Whoville running green flag laps, and I want to see a caution.
Now this is kind of interesting. You got JT Mayhew, Bernie, Rodney, and Jim Gloud all together now, and I'm watching Jim Gloud. His speed is nowhere, unfortunately, near where it was. He still seems to be like a mile an hour off. He's running 40-second lap times, 40.4 that last lap, Seth, compared to what the leaders are running. So there was a lot of, I mean, it may not seem like a lot, but that damage did affect him pretty badly with the aerodynamic of speed.
Yeah, you couldn't visibly see the right side damage on his number 72, but to your point, it's obviously affected him, probably straightaway speed especially. And he has dropped all the way back now to the 13th position. He's in this group of 4 with Rodney Sullins, the 323 of Bernie Mobbs, and the 338 of JT Mayhew. I believe that the 323 of Bernie Mobbs, he ended up getting into the server pretty close to the end of practice. I don't know what the details were, but he's in a generic triple-digit number, but still able to take part in tonight's event. I was going to mention before we had those green flag pit stops, so I might as well do it now before we end up having another round potentially of green flag pit stops. The champions from season 57, Jeremy Jeffries, a 3-time champ this season, the champion of the Triple X series as well as the RTR Cup series, and then also won the championship in the Aero 88 series. Sean Prime, he was the champion in the...
Sorry. Bobby Farrell just hit the wall barely, and he almost got an officer. That was a scary situation for the leaders.
Yeah, they're just now going around that 92, putting him
Continue.
a
I'm
lap
sorry.
down. They've got John Godfrey, Dave Robbins, and Mark Paglia up ahead pretty soon. But Sean Prime, he was the champ in the Bare Bones Racing Series on Monday nights. And then, of course, as you saw here on FRN, Brian Schilling was the winner and champion in the season finale of the Tally Challenge series. And then also shout out the Challenger champions here this season. For the Bare Bones side, it was Andre Charest, and for the Aero 88 series, it was Bob Dixon. So good job by all those drivers getting the respective championships here for season 57, season 58. Going to be a new clean slate for drivers to try and go out and win those championships starting in the 2023 year.
And don't forget, even though it wasn't technically a championship, and I feel ashamed because I don't remember who, so don't get mad at me. But yeah, don't forget about the bracket winners for the Tally Challenge.
That was Jeremy Jeffries.
Was it really?
Jeremy Jeffries, he and Brian Schilling were in the finals.
I don't even remember. I wasn't sure.
Yep.
Wow.
So I guess you could technically say Jeffrey is a four-time champion here in season 58 if you add that bracket series in.
Sounds like you had a Grant Wesley year.
It really does, right? And of course, too, mentioning the fact season 57, season 56, there was a season 56 V2 actually that took place here this year with Grant Wesley, of course, winning the championship in the Tally Challenge. So we had 2 Tally Challenge champions this year.
Oh my gosh, Seth, I don't know if you were watching that with Josh Metallic right there, but there was a nice little shot that Josh got from the back end right there, and they started going. Frank Rivard gave him a huge shot in the back. And it looked like they might look. I'm not sure. So are they closing in slowly on the top 4?
Well, they are and they aren't. They gain a lap and then they lose a lap. They were running about 4.5 seconds the last time we checked. They've cut it down by a full second. Oh, I think we got a caution actually. Never mind. Nope, my mind's playing tricks on me again. The Grinch has emerged again. I think I'm seeing cautions.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're doing here.
But no.
Oh, Bobby Farrell's gonna hit the wall. He does. Ouch. Sorry.
Well, he's really been struggling there in that 92. A lot of blue paint up there, taking that garland off the outside safer barrier. But
he's right in the middle to like the upper area, and he gets right there, just a little bit on the mark, right there on the groove, and it just kicks him right up to the high side like there's nothing there. It just gets super tight. You just cannot hold it.
Well, even when you get into the wall just once, you actually can feel that as well.
Look at this.
It never gets better.
Goes right there, and now he's going to go really hard down, get really tight.
Flip the apron maybe a little there. Makes that corner, but I mean, he's got that kind of ripple on the right front quarter panel, and that's going to just to make the car aerodynamically tight off the corner as well. You get damage to your race car, even though visibly it doesn't look that bad. The handling of the car is never going to be the same, and it's never going to get better.
I don't know what's going on with him, but he might have just made a pit stop, because I just heard him shift from 3rd to 4th.
I think you're right. I think he did make a pit stop.
We're about 6 laps away, I believe, from another round of green flag pit stops. And what I was looking at originally, and that kind of distracted me multiple times, is they're going by Jeremy Jeffries now. up here at the top. Jeremy's going to lose second back to Tim Nofsker. But what I was looking at was the driver of the 038, if it's correct here, or is it just the 38? Yeah, the 038 here of Dave Melson. I mean, he was originally with that pack, and he's just fallen right off of that pack with Josh Matak and Jeff Supta.
Driver that has gained the most spots here so far tonight since the drop of the green flag would be this guy, Len Harris in 08. Rolled off the grid from the 19th position, and right now he is scored in P12, so he's gained 7 spots since the start of this race. He and Dave Melson just now making their way around the lap machine of Bobby Farrell, and to confirm there, yep, there's the 088. Jim Glaude did indeed make a pit stop. That is confirmed. He did fall a lap down as a result, so he is a driver that is certainly hoping at this point in time that we remain under the green flag so he can cycle back around on the lead lap. I believe it's the same rules apply that we had in the Tally Challenge, where there'd be 2 lucky dogs per yellow flag, and right now Bobby Farrell and Jim Glaude, 1 lap down apiece, would hold those spots, but that's going to continue to change as we have more drivers hitting pit lane. Here comes the race leaders on pit road, Sean Prime and Jeremy Jeffries. Oh, we got a car spun around there. That's Mark Paglia at the entrance of pit road, and he's got to wait for everybody from that second group to go on by him.
Seems like pit road's really becoming like a Miles Dover monster right now, doesn't it, Seth?
It's very treacherous, that's for sure. And a big reason for it, I think, is because, as we've seen, these drivers, they have that art of hot pitting, and I've seen a lot of these cars, it looks like the rear brakes just do not want to grip. The back end wants to step out, and so these guys, they are literally wrestling these race cars to stay in the right direction as they make their way towards their pit stalls.
Just to remember what I told you about Jim Glaude and 17, how bad off pace he was. Last lap, even though he had a few cars drafting with him, last lap was a 39.5. So you get what I mean. Fresh tires really do make a difference, even with a little bit of damage.
Good single car speed there. That's about, and by single car speed, about the same as what a lot of the drivers were hitting in the draft near the end of their run. So that is a very good lap time for a single car run, as that group of 4, now they came in pit road on different laps, but they're all going to be back together again. They're Prime, Nofsker, Jeffries, and Brian Schilling. But now they're going to have to start dealing with more and more traffic. 2 runs here into green flag pit stops, and the field is very much so spread out. That's Dave Robbins in the 96 that they're about to reel in.
I just now realized something, and I feel ashamed that I hadn't been able to pay attention to this, Seth. Coming out pit road, there's a little bit of a straightaway before they get to that line where the commitment line is, so they got a little bit of speed they can actually carry in there.
Which I think is why we're seeing a lot of the times when they get on the brakes, the back end of the car want to snap around on them because of the fact they have that little bit of access area to carry as much speed as they want to before they get to that commitment line. But we've only had a couple of drivers that have spun around there. Most of them have been able to keep their cars squared away, but we're getting closer towards the end of the race, and with every upcoming pit stop, we get closer to what's going to be deemed the money stop. Might end up being the next pit stop they make if it's under green flag conditions, and execution's been good for a number of these guys so far, including this top 4, but it could all be for naught if you make even the slightest mistake on the final pit stop of the evening.
I mean, laps are winding down now, and I'm looking right here at the race telemetry between Metallic and the top 4. Actually, JT Mayhew now. JT Mayhew's labeled in 5th. It's about, or actually, I don't know whether Mayhew's pitting or not at the moment. I'm focused on the running order, Seth, so forgive me for that. Metallic is 3.7 back of the leader, so about like 30 seconds back of showing at the moment. So I'm wondering if they're actually going to be able to run them down this time. I mean, they were gaining a little bit like we saw at the end of that. So I don't know if they're going to be able to this run, or if it's going to be the same like it was this past run where, hey, we're going to get close, but we're not going to do anything, unfortunately. And they got to figure out a way how to outsmart and out-strategize the top four.
Well, here's the problem. They don't have that second group lined up right now, and that first group was lined up about 3 laps ago. Supta and Josh Metallic, they're nose to tail. They're just now picking up John Godfrey, and then you've got Ron Lusain, Grant Wesley behind them about 3 car lengths. So they're just now getting organized. That's about 5 laps that top 4 were able to get their optimal straightaway speed, their optimal draft, and the gap is now opened up over 4 seconds once again. So to your point, they chip away. They're able to chip away lap after lap, but they get within about 2.5 seconds and, oh, we got to come back to pit road, and then it's all about reorganizing once the pit stops are completed. So I know it's still early on in this race. I know that we've still got about 37 laps, I think, this next time by in this event. But I think that, honestly, 5th place on back, they need a caution, or else this top 4 are going to have a stranglehold on the race.
Yeah, the only way I see them doing anything is if they do something different on pit road, but I don't even see an undercut even affecting it, like, drastically, to be honest with you.
Or if one of the top 4 or all the top 4 make a mistake on pit road. That's maybe the only other way they could climb back into this thing.
Well, with the way we've seen pitting, it is possible, but highly unlikely.
Yep. Seen a couple of these top 4 try and make sure they don't spin getting onto pit road. Tim Nofsker nearly had a spin, and our race leader Sean Prime nearly had a spin, but they did not. They made it onto pit road safely, and none of them got a speeding penalty. So they have absolutely been the conductors of this orchestra here tonight, as hitting the line there, Sean Prime. Next time by, we will be at 35 laps to go. And with that being said, we've not seen a caution flag here tonight. We've got 26 of our 27 drivers still running, 22 of them on the lead lap at this point in time. 2 green flag pit stops. Just kind of wonder, we know that if a caution comes out, it's certainly going to shake things up, but your 5th place on back, your goal right now is to reel in the top 4. At what point do you kind of say, well, we're not going to catch them. Let's just race it out, see who's going to get that final spot inside of the top 5?
Well, the only thing we would have to worry about technically would be like the 5 or 6 lap to go mark with a caution possibly ending the race, which we obviously don't want to have that happen. But all I'm going to say, Seth, is remember the All-Star race a few seasons ago here? Godfrey was able to come out on top of that because they got really aggressive and they had like a really fun battle.
Right.
One lap, then the next lap, then at the end, you get what I mean? It was just really, really close every which way you looked at. Then all of a sudden, incident after incident after incident, because they were racing so hard, trying to get it done on that last lap. And then Godfrey, right place at right time. And you know as well as I do, recent events as well, anything can happen that can cause someone else in the far back to catch up and automatically take it. So, I mean, while these guys are pretty much secure up at the front of the top 4, they also got to keep thinking in the background, like, we got to be careful on how we do this. I mean, you don't want to wreck and screw not just, one of your friends out, but also screw yourself out, and all of a sudden, guess what? Someone else way behind you gets it.
Josh Metallic.
It is possible.
It is indeed possible. As Josh Metallic, I've been watching the lap times, watching the telemetry. They are again continuing to close up on the top 4. They've got it down to almost 3.5 seconds. They're about to catch the draft off the 96.
Yeah, but Sean's about to catch Paglia though, and then 2 more drivers in front of Paglia, Kelly Collins and Doug Cady. So I don't think it's going to be like hindering the leaders too much with just gaining extra draft now at this point. So they really, I mean, anything they gain, they seem to lose back.
It's funny too because talked with Sean prior to tonight's race, and he said, love having this machine up on the pole position, but it'll probably be the only time you'll see it up at the front. Well, he's had that car out in front now for 42 laps of the 59 that we have run. That's obviously the most of anybody here tonight. The only other drivers that have been out in front, 5 laps led for Jeremy Jeffries, 3 for Josh Metallic, 2 apiece for Brian Schilling and Frank Rivard, and then leading one lap here tonight so far, Tim Nofsker, Jeff Supta, and Dave Melson. Actually, JT Mayhew also led a lap, but I mean, you talk about me being the Grinch and wanting a caution and everything. Sean Prine's been the Grinch, not letting anybody else have a turn out in front for a good chunk of laps.
Now the question is that by him saying that I'm that good, or do you think it's just that we're gonna let you stay up front and burn the most fuel?
Hey, I mean, if you're out in front, you get the most TV time, right? Works out.
It does, yeah. It goes back to that Gordon flipping at Daytona incident that I've talked about with the dual race. You remember that with the AARP?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, or it was a shootout, I believe, or either a shootout or a duel. I believe it was a shootout.
I think it was the shootout, yeah.
And Tyler came across to the little commentary that he was doing, and he mentioned that, hey, okay, that's one way to get air time and TV time for your sponsors, right? One way or the other.
Right. If you're gonna get yourself TV time,
Josh is going down low, letting
just noticed that.
Huh? Wonder what's going on with the 39, Seth.
Well, he was leading this pack for a good portion. I'm almost wondering if he feels Supta might have a faster race car and says, hey, you lead this group for a while. We'll see if you can get us up to that top 4.
Looking at Nofsker, Nofsker's kind of taking a spot back.
Oh, wow, what happened to him?
Yeah, I just noticed him back there.
Lost touch with the top 3.
I'm going to go back and look at that.
Yeah, 28 of Mark Paglia there. They obviously caught him and put him a lap down. I wonder if 88, maybe when they were trying to pass him, if he got the wall or something, but he's definitely lost touch with the top trio.
I'm watching a couple laps back, so I have to see if I can't see something here.
Car is up to speed. Trying to look at the right side, see if maybe he had any contact with the wall, if there's any visible damage. Let's see this time as he makes his way through 1 and 2. I don't see anything.
Oh, yeah, he hit the wall coming to lap 61 off the 4 side.
Oscar, who was certainly looking like he was going to be one of the drivers in the conversation for this win, but up in this lead group pretty much the entirety of the race, especially after that first round of green flag pit stops. Now he's fallen off of that lead pack.
Yeah, he hit the wall. He went up a little bit high up middle line, just a little bit off of turn 3 into 4 on lap 6. He coming to 61, and it went right up, and he pancaked the wall a little bit. And I mean, he is somewhat up to speed. He might be down a half a mile an hour, maybe, but it's just a little bit. It's all it takes, just a little bit of loss of momentum, and it's gone.
Like his last lap was about 4/10 off of the top 3, 39.591. So that's still a decent lap time there for single car speed. So I think he's okay. I think that he is still up to speed. The problem is he does not have the benefit of draft like this lead pack or the second pack reeling him in have. And Bobby Farrell, he got the wall pretty good there going into turn 1, trying to stay high on the way of the race leaders.
The Supta is about right here at Nofsker right now. Now the question is Nofsker going to be able to latch on? That's what I'm wondering. Is he up to speed enough to be able to latch on and stay within this pack and striking distance of this pack that's just now caught him?
Oh, the speed differential is huge, and I thought that maybe they were just going to try and go around the 088 and put him towards the tail and let Supta continue to lead the way, but no, Nofsker kind of threw the block there on Supta going into turn 3, so now he'll lead this group, and that's gonna stifle the momentum that this second group might have had. Now Supta's going to look low, says, hey, I've been leading this second group up here to the front. I mean, don't stop us now.
And right ahead of them, they got the machine, the 92 machine of Bobby Farrell. While this is going on, the leaders, they've got Paglia in tow behind Schilling, but Jeremy Jeffries is slowly starting to reel in the 00 of Kelly Causey, Doug Cady, and then Andre Terrest, and the 23 of Doug Hewlett, Seth. So slowly starting to put them lapped down now, getting that traffic like you talked about.
Yeah, those are all drivers that are on the tail end of the lead lap right now, roughly 18th through 22nd.
We're about 10 laps away from pitting. too, Seth. So that's gonna be on their mind as well.
That final pit stop of the day, potentially, I should say. I mean, it could be every possibility that we
Whoa,
end up having.
whoa! A little bit of contact between the 92 and the 96. Barely right there at the corner panel. I just barely saw that, Seth. I just thought there was going to be a lot more than what it was.
I would not be for position. Dave Robbins is 1 lap down in 24th. Bobby Farrell now 2 laps down in the 26th position. Farrell and Paglia, they are 2 laps down, battling for the 25th spot. And right now, John Godfrey is a lap down along with Dave Robbins. They would be battling for the 23rd spot. There you see. Oh! Nofsker into the wall there off a turn, too. You saw
And Bobby
John
Farrell
Godfrey have
was
to bail
too.
out.
Farrell got in the wall back there too, Seth. I mean, it's starting to bite him now.
And again, as I said, you know, there's no way it's going to get better if you've got damage or if you really overcook that right front. Because for the most part, these drivers are at full speed. Maybe they're breathing the throttle a little bit. The caution is out this time. This time I can confirm the caution is out. Closing in on 20 laps to go.
I do want to point out, Supta had gotten back to about 3 seconds back again based on the traffic and all, and Nofsker is labeled as an accident, so unfortunately I am sure that's probably having to deal with him, and that's tough because he was right there in the top 5 most of this whole race, and then just one small little incident happens and it just makes your day go from bad to even worse.
Prior to his incident of getting the wall, never had fallen outside the top 4. Qualified this race in the 3rd position, took a turn out in front. Looks like Jeremy Jeffries trying to find the pace car here. Caution came out around the time that the leaders were crossing the start-finish line, so had to maybe go an extra lap. And to your point, not certain. I saw him into the wall off of 2, but never saw him wreck. And then the caution came out not too long after, so we'll see if Nofsker was indeed the reason for this caution flying, or if maybe it was someone else.
The lucky dog that are lapped down, I would think. I'm not really sure. It's either I know Godfrey was one of them, but I thought Chuck McClure was ahead of Dave Robbins at the point of caution. And
now they're showing when they took the caution, Godfrey and Robbins. Chuck McClure, it's actually a lap down, as is Jim Gloud. Now, Gloud, I'm wondering if it might have been...
He was
yeah,
pitting.
That's what I was going to say. We saw him pit earlier, too, in the second round of green flag pit stops, but I don't know if maybe McClure, if he also went with that strategy, or if maybe he's the reason the caution's out.
I don't know, because it did show
McClure
him
was on pit road as well, so it was not 17.
Oh, that must... Man. Don't you hate when you're pitting and the caution comes out?
Caution comes out, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so looks like we found what might have brought out the yellow. Tim Nofsker in the 088. Going to pit road, it appears here. Does he spin out? I mean, no, that's not a spin. Oh, gosh. Okay, well, there is a wall there. Can confirm there is a wall at the edge of that snowbank because Nofsker just pile drove it. And that's what brings out the caution.
So it was hidden under the snow.
It was hidden under the snow, apparently. I don't remember who it was that I was scared for before, thinking that they were actually going to impale the wall, but then I thought it was just a snowbank, but apparently there was a reason for me to be worried. Here's another angle of it. Wow. Right there, to the back end slide, and he carried just so much speed, and
wait, it was
couldn't
Doug
make
Hewlett.
it to the... Could not make it to the left side of that wall.
I believe it was the 23 Hewlett that you got really scared about early.
I think you're right. Well, let's see if our camera survives. Here's on board with the 88, or 088, I should say, trying to come to pit lane. Oh, boy. That's a tease right there. That's an optical illusion because you cannot see where the wall starts and the snow pile ends. That is a tough break there for Tim Nofsker, who was purposely coming to pit lane for what was going to be the final pit stop of the day for him, and overcooked it a little too fast coming in, could not get the car underneath him, and hard impact into that pit wall as We had most of our race leaders come down pit road the last lap, and now the lap car is coming down pit road. Looks like Brian Schilling is going to emerge as the race leader when we go back green with less than 20 to go.
You realize there's like, what, it's 90 laps, and you got 72 out of 90 at the moment, right?
Yep.
So just think about this. It's not going to be an issue to make it on fuel now. But what's going to be a problem is the tire wear, because they're going to start pushing themselves a lot harder to position themselves for the end of this race.
It's not a sprint. It's still a bit of a long green flag run that they're going to have to work on here. So yeah, to your point, gotta preserve those good years so that way you can have the maneuverability and the late going, should we go green to the end, be able to make a pass for the lead and maybe subsequently the victory. As McLaren Gloud, because they were on pit road when the caution came out and got trapped a lap down, it appears they are going to take the wave around here, which they would be able to do being ahead of the race leaders. So there you see your lucky dogs up on the top side. That's going to be John Godfrey and Dave Robbins. That should put us with 23 drivers on the lead lap. When we go back green, Mark Pagley and Bobby Farrell, 2 laps down, would be the only drivers off the lead lap on this upcoming restart. And again, the drivers out of the race at this point in time, Tim Nofsker, the most recent retiree, joining Jason Scheck. They'll finish 26th and 27th. We talked about at the beginning of the night, this being an exhibition race, you get to go out there, just have fun. There's no points, no championships on the line. So it's a little bit easier too if you end up DNFing from this race, and the fact that, you know, there was nothing really to gain, just an opportunity to end out the season with another checkered flag. I mean, obviously heartbreak if you consider the fact that Nofsker was a contender for the win all night long, but you know, not nearly as sad a moment of having to hit that retire button than if it was an actual league race on a schedule.
Absolutely, and you know, there's no points, nothing like on the line like you're saying. So, well, like we mentioned, this is just exhibition. It's all about fun and enjoying being around your friends and just having like a silly time. So I guarantee you, down there, they're having a good time. No one's yelling at each other. Everyone's just really chill and just enjoying the moment. And you know, Nofster will be back to race next season. You know, and then we'll have to re-rack everything and he'll get going like he always does.
So I'm gonna throw out a conspiracy theory. You were calling me a Grinch for wanting to have the caution come out, and look what sponsored car is out in front after a caution came out.
Hey, I'm not calling Schilling a Grinch. I'm calling you a Grinch.
I know that, but you made a Grinch reference to a caution coming out.
Okay, you know what? That is your fault for jinxing it. And if it makes you feel any better, I'll stop calling you a Grinch and call you an Oscar Mayer wiener, if that would make Josh Metallic feel happier.
I've been trying as hard as I could, actually, to try and find something Christmas related about Oscar Mayer, but I've failed. I've tried that. I've tried Gatorade. I've been trying to Christmasify up these cars that don't have anything Christmas related on them.
Green and white, summer,
yeah, that's true. That's true. Still got to work on the Oscar Mayer one, though. We got to figure that one out.
Well, it's Josh Metallic. I mean, that's Christmassy enough as it is.
There you go.
Anyway, we're back to green with about 27 laps.
Yeah, 27
to go
laps.
Now, so.
Yep.
And look at them all side by side, jostling for position already. I mean, Schilling and Jeffrey's got to be pretty doggone happy right now. Here comes Supta with a little bit of a charge.
Well, they're happy, I think, yes, but also I think they liked having that nice gap between them and the rest of the field. Now they got everyone on their back door.
3 wide up here.
Ooh, look at that. So almost touching doors there between Lucet and Grant Wesley in the 88. Remember Grant? He was nearly losing the thing off of turn 2, made his way back up in the top 10, and all of a sudden he's back in the hunt here for this victory.
You can bet your butt he's all so happy for that caution. That was a really nice Halloween. Wow, I said Halloween. I'm sorry. A nice little holiday gift for him, wasn't it? So,
it was indeed. As it was for several others. Jeff Supta, we know he's got a fast race car. Josh Metallic, we know, has got a fast race car. They were in that second group trying to reel in what was top 4, now then top 3. Ooh, close there between the two 38s. The 038 of Melson squeezing down the 38 of Rodney Sullins. And Yeah, a little bump there from Greg Palmer. That's something else I was noticing these drivers were doing in their respective packs just prior to that caution coming out was their ability to bump draft, especially on the back straightaway. These cars have that flat nose and flat back bumper that kind of boxes shape, and so they're able to lock bumpers and be able to create some really good tandem drafts down the straights.
I do. I mean, the only problem is to get one little bad bump, though, Seth. That's all it takes is one little bad bump, and just you lose all your momentum just out of touch completely, Seth. So they gotta hit the hitbox just correctly for that. I mean, on the front stretch, it looks like it's straight, but it's really not. You're still turning a little bit, and then you got the corners obviously as well. The only time that you would feel safe bumping technically would be off of 2, straight from 2 down to 3. But I mean, other than that, you got to be really careful where and when you bump someone, especially about the speed differential too.
I mean, we saw, really stacked up there, 5th place on back, but yeah, we saw Greg Palmer give a bump to Rodney Sullins on the front straightaway. It's a little dicey because a lot more banking here on the front stretch of Michigan than there even is in the tri-oval at Talladega. So to your point, you have to be picture perfect on giving that bump and make sure you don't get the car in front of you out of shape or, even have the dreaded bumper grab. I'm not sure how likely it would be to get the bumper grab here with these cars, but I would certainly have to think too that the hitbox would be a lot different than it would be with a lot of the more modern cup cars and everything.
Someone who was like 3 seconds back got that little caution. That's Metallic, and he's challenging Sean Prime right now for the lead. And look who's behind Metallic.
Brant Wesley right there. You've got also Ron Lucet in the 62.
Bunch of new contenders up here, and like we mentioned before about how Grant was almost out of it the way it was before that caution. He's right back in the thick of it as well. Schilling's kind of falling back. And here comes another person we really haven't talked too much about. We got Demar coming up here as well.
Yeah, I was just noticing that black and red STP machine making his way up here. How about that?
Anything can change at the last second, huh?
Absolutely. Richard Martin started this race back in 15.
Whoa, whoa. And there goes Mayhew right into Glenn Harris.
And the caution's going to come out. Look out. Closer towards the back end of the field. Paglia's going to avoid him.
Man, that started right there. Mayhew got really loose off that corner, almost at the wall, tried to gather it up, then it just got away from him right there. And when he went around Seth, there was nothing that Glenn Harris in the 08 could have done. And unfortunately, Jim Glaude got collected a little bit in that. I mean, that's a bad break for that 72.
Race leader, when he hits the stripe, that being Sean Prime, will have us at 10 laps to go. Here's a look going back to 3 and 4, and that 338 was way up out of the groove. I mean, I don't even think that he had a shot of not hitting the wall off of turn 4. He was so high up. It never snapped around on him. It just rode up into the wall, and when it bounced off into Harris and Jim Glaude, there was just nowhere for those drivers to be able to go.
But you see what I mean? That he got really tail happy and then wiggle more, and then that's all it took.
A look at it. Watch for the 0-8 of Glenn Harris. There you see him on the inside. Just wrong place, wrong time. Pretty good shot there.
Then
the right side of his Coca-Cola Chevrolet. Jim Glaude. I don't think Jim Glaude's going to be that badly damaged. There was contact to the right front, but he might be okay.
Well, remember the 72 had issues earlier, too.
Right.
And that's what I was looking at, because he hit on the right side of his car, remember? Against the wall, and then there's that right there.
Taken on board with the 72. Watch up ahead how the 338 gets way up out of the groove. There you see him. Brushes the wall. He's trying to save it. Oh, there's the contact with Glenn. And at that point, for Jim Glaude, I think he thought maybe he had someone to his inside, which is why he wasn't able to go any lower on the front straightaway.
Seth, strategy calls have been played out here after
I
pit
wondered
stop.
about this. I wondered about this if we ended up
Grant
having a
Wesley,
caution around this time.
Wesley and Rodney have both stayed out.
These drivers, when we went back green, they put about 6, maybe 7 laps on their tires. We saw right then what happened on 6, 7 lap old tires with JT Mayhew pushing way up the track going into 3 and 4. So the tire heat definitely had already built up. Gutsy call here. Looks like also Kelly Causey may have stayed out in the 00.
Who would the lucky dogs be at this point? I didn't
It
check
would
that.
be Paglia and Farrell. This would put both of them 1 lap down. So right now they would not be back on the lead lap at this point in time. They need another caution, and more than likely, if we did get another caution, probably wouldn't help them to gain that many positions, because I would assume that when we go back green, we'd be very close to our next caution ending the race under yellow.
Well, still, we only have 2 retirees of Novsker and Shaq at the moment. I mean, I'm surprised Mayhew is still able to get going. He's labeled in 9th place, but that'll probably change in a moment when he gets to the line.
He just came to pit road, I believe. More than likely taking the claim, the responsibility for the incident. Usually the drivers then come down pit road the second lap of pacing. So this is an interesting call here by Wesley, Rodney Sullins, Kelly Causey. But again, going back to the point that we've kind of been hammering home all night long. This is an exhibition race. There's no points on the line, just an opportunity to end out the season with a checkered flag. So you're going to be a little bit more flexible and maybe a little bit more gutsy with the strategy call. Saw a number of drivers that were up at the front that made the call to give up the track position to come to pit road for tires. On the flip side, drivers that didn't have the track position, they decide, well, we'll forego those Goodyears and we'll try and see if we can hold off the fresher tires behind us here in what's going to more than likely be a bit of a shootout. I mean, when we hit the line next time by, it'll be 7 laps to go, so no more than 6 laps will be run here for the remainder of this race.
And going back to what you mentioned earlier about the exhibition race, I mean, that's one of the good things about the exhibition races. It gives them a chance to do things that they normally wouldn't do or feel uncomfortable doing or whatnot. They can actually do it now and be really happy and just enjoy trying out different things and have fun doing it. And I don't know about this. Rodney's kind of a little bit lower here. Pagley is on the high side. I don't know whether they're still staying out or
I think they're moving low for the lucky dog drivers, perhaps. Saw them all migrate down to the inside. Well, hold on.
It looked like Rodney's really kind of backing off, and I wasn't sure what Rodney was going to do here.
Yeah, I think maybe he was just, I think everybody was single filing out through the turns to make sure that the lucky dog drivers could get to the outside, be able to go around, get their lap back, which they should be able to do here. Yep, lights go out top the pace car, and we will get ready to go back green with what will officially be 6 laps to go.
And I'm so sorry. I feel really happy with my game compared to probably what you got right now because I got the minutes in, and it looks really cool.
Got the nighttime mix.
I know, I love it.
So we ran, what, about 3, maybe 4 laps here under caution. Yeah, it would be 4 laps under caution with the lap machines because they came back to the completion of lap 80, pick up the yellow flag. So there is the possibility, if we get ourselves an early yellow flag here after this restart, that we could get them back green flag racing for maybe a 2-lap, possibly a 1-lap shootout. But if they complete 2 or 3 laps, next flag is going to end the race. And so we'll give the disclaimer here. If we reach that point, we will go back post-race. We'll review any incident that might have ended the race under yellow, but we will stay at the front and watch them race back to either the caution or the checkered flag, whichever the case may be.
I do have a question, Seth. With this being caution and, you know, able to just sit there and ride really slow and just maybe clutch or however they want to do it or whatever for the past 3 or 4 laps, would that have helped cool the tires off with the front row to where they think that they actually stand a chance against the new tires?
So it will cool the tires down some, but honestly, especially with the fact as we documented it's clear 70, it won't cool it down enough to make it even with the fresher tires, because those drivers with the fresher tires, their tires would have cooled under pacing as well. They'll have a lot more grip going into the corners than the guys that stayed out the top 3.
Alright, so 6 laps to go. Call them if you got them.
Brant's going to move to the middle line. Kelly Causey going to battle for second there with Rodney Sullins. And for Jeremy Jeffries, Sean Prime, it's time to go.
3 wide back here with Chuck, Bernie, and Frank.
They're going to make it out of turn 2. Somebody dove it even lower 3 wide. I think it was Doug Cady. He tucks back in line behind the 62 of Ronald Lucey. Top 2 single file. 3 wide. 3 wide again. McClure, the meat and the sandwich. Rivard on the top. Lucey on the bottom. Again, they settle it out. Chuck McClure looking around saying, why am I always in 3 wide here?
Actually, the way I think about it is Bart's probably saying, I crumble on that car right now.
That's true. That's true. That
look up above.
Ooh, I thought Rodney Sullins was going to get hooked by Sean Prime. Kelly Causey has taken the race lead in that double zero.
We got Schilling in the middle. We got Greg Palmer right behind his tire tracks, 3 wide.
Kelly Causey started shotgun on the field in the 27th position, but now getting pinned down by Grant Wesley and a rear decklet full of Jeremy Jeffries.
Now, Seth, the next caution would end this race right now, wouldn't it?
Yep, we've reached that point. We've got lap machines, so that would add an extra lap of pacing, which means that this is the point of no return. Next flag ends the race, and look at how high Sean Prime was going into turn 1 along with Brian Schilling. I don't know if that was by design or if they kind of got forced up there.
They are really driving it in hard at this point, Seth. Oh, there goes Chuck. Chuck trying to get another spot here.
And Causey left the door open for Jeremy Jeffries, who got a big push from Grant Wesley down the back straightaway. Jeffries looking for the race lead.
3 wide behind. Right now, whoa, Supta all the way on the apron.
Kelly Causey nearly just bumper grabbed off of Wesley. There you see Supta trying to gather it back up. Almost 4 wide going into 1. Dave Nelson, Rodney Sullins get together. Sullins way up the track into the wall. Can he keep it off? Now McClure's around. Hard hit for Dave Nelson. Caution is out. We're racing back.
They're wrecking.
Prime.
Wrecking. Katie's wrecking.
They're all wrecking on the back straightaway. At the front, it's Jeremy Jeffries. He's got him stacked double wide behind him. And Jeremy Jeffries, the number 1 car, is going to finish P1 here tonight. And he will pick up the proverbial checkered flag here in the Happy Holidays 200, 2 laps away from race completion.
What in the world type of season has Jeremy Jeffries had, right?
My goodness.
Jeez, he's got a championship, a bracket title, and now an exhibition. Like, come on, Jeremy, save some for the rest of them, please.
He's got all the Christmas presents.
I know. He's got Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Christmas all in one. Wow, well, that
across the line second, Josh Metallic third, but yes, Christmas pun intended. There's a lot to unwrap here.
Yeah, definitely.
In the closing stages.
When they had that incident that you were looking at, there was a further up incident that involved, I don't know who it all involved, but I know the one car I did see was the Mountain Dew car of Doug Cady. So there was an incident that was happening
Sean
at that
Prime
point.
was in that too. I don't know if he hit the inside wall, but he was certainly headed in that direction when we saw him.
What did we say earlier, Seth? Anything can and will happen. We've seen it happen.
Especially when it's a non-points exhibition race. You're going to make those moves. You're going to be more aggressive. You're going to be willing to take those risks. As the white flag's in the air for Jeremy Jeffries. Now, we'll be going back again as stated, and we'll be looking at the replay of everything that took place there on that final lap of green. We know that it started with Dave Melson pushing up into Rodney Sullins. Rodney, however, I think he had it saved at that point in time. And then there was further contact between Dave Melson and Chuck McClure that then Rodney got swept up into. And, of course, the back straightaway incident that involved Sean Prime, Doug Cady, and others. We'll go back and look at all of that. But we've got a little less than 2 miles before Jeremy Jeffries and that Toys for Tots machine is going to pick up the checkered flag here, the final checkered flag of the 2022 year.
And just think about this, okay? all he's been doing, right? He's got the championships, he's got wins, and then multiple championships and wins like that, right? All in one season. He's had a stellar season. And then when he leaves the number 8 and takes the number 1 machine,
What a
what does he
debut.
do?
What a
He could.
debut.
I know. And remember, if this is what's going to happen with that one machine, him going to the one machine, this is the year 2022. Wonder what's going to happen in 2023 now, knowing the fact that he's already got a win under that number 1.
Absolutely. And also, I off the top of my head don't remember where he finished in point standings for the Bare Bones series, but he was in the Final Four in championship contention for the Tally Challenge. So even the series that he didn't end up winning the championships in here in 2022, he was in the conversation, though, to be able to win those championships. So it has been an unbelievable year for Jeremy Jeffries.
And look at the impressive feat of the 88 of Grant Wesley. He was way back there, damaged, and look at where, he didn't win, but look at the fight and the strategy at the end to put himself in a good position to stay up near the front.
Checkered flag over the hood of Jeremy Jeffries' number 1 machine. He is the victor here tonight in the Happy Holidays 200 for the 2022 year. There you see the congratulatory bumps from the drivers. We'll be talking with Jeremy Jeffries, Grant Wesley, and Josh Metallic, who ended up being the top 3. And remember, we were talking about the gutsy calls there by the drivers that stayed out. And obviously, Rodney Sullins ended up going up into the wall. But for the other 2 that decided to take the track position over tires, Grant got 2nd, Kelly Causey in 4th. So a pretty good strategy there on the part of those drivers.
I'm still in shock and awe. Like, it got really, really, like, the level went from 5 to 10 to a maximum of 15, way beyond the meter at that last lap that they actually ran under green set.
You'd never know he ran the first 50 some odd laps under green, right?
Even though that there was no championship or anything or points on the line for this, you wouldn't have known that with the way they raced at the end of that.
Absolutely. We ended up having the long green flag run, 2 rounds of green flag pit stops. Then the caution came out, it bunched him back up, and these drivers did what they had to do to put themselves in position to try and pick up the victory. Jeremy Jeffries, though, who led the 2nd most laps here tonight, 15 in total, up in the top 3 pretty much the entirety of this evening, able to pick up the victory, and he may do a burnout that might last until 2023, the way this is going right now.
Well, he's got a lot to celebrate about this whole past season, for sure. But, think about this. Josh Metallic, where did he come from? And we had that caution, okay? And, he was caught up, and he was still technically wasn't listed up there in the top 3. I think he was like 6th or 8th on that restart. And voila, he's right there in the talk of trying to win the thing, and then he finishes 3rd. Seth, remember, you talk about being a Grinch. You are a Grinch. You caused the cautions, that's your fault. And then, yeah, the Oscar Mayer machine. Seth, the Oscar Mayer machine. Nothing Christmassy about it, according to you, but it's still there.
It's still there.
You have to deal with it. You have to embrace it.
Well, Jeremy Jeffries having a little fun in the snow. It's hard to see him. You could just barely see from the windshield up.
What, did we lose him?
We lost him for a brief second. We can see him now. Like he's going to now make his way down pit road after a burnout in victory lane and having some fun in those snow piles. Before we show you the finisher results, we're going to go back. We're going to look at the incidents that brought out the caution to end this race. Start first with the 38 of Rodney Sullins, and then we will migrate to the Chuck McClure, Bernie Mobbs incident, and then, of course, the incident on the back straightaway. Well, actually, apparently we will not, because apparently the server shut down. But all right, so we won't be able to show you your finishing results either. I think the finishing results actually were scrolling on the top of the screen. So whatever you saw rolling on the ticker there under those final pace laps, that was the official the official finishing results.
Well, we know who finished in the top 3.
We know who finished in the top 3. That much we do know. We do know that, and yeah, it was official what you saw on the ticker just prior
Well,
to the checkered flag. That
I
was
know.
the finishing results. We did have a couple of drivers that DNF'd at the end. Sean Prime was one of them, Chuck McClure as well. But again,
Uh,
exhibition race, so really it only mattered who won the race, to be perfectly honest.
Seth, I'm just curious because it's a normal, technically it's a speedway slash super speedway. Do you think this actually helps a lot of the momentum with the drivers who actually like the big speedways and super speedways moving forward in the next season?
I think so. I'm not necessarily certain that it is going to help as far as the Talladega Challenge series, since I think there's a lot more lifting, a lot more tire wear that came into play here tonight. But considering the fact that a lot of the other series go to the 2 mile racetracks like Auto Club and, of course, Michigan, certainly gives them the opportunity to get some more reps, get some more laps, maybe write down some more notes on what they're capable of doing with the CTS physics and be able to apply that during the respective seasons, the respective series for the 2023 year.
Well, then, well, you gotta remember there are a couple things coming up next season in the RTG group, so it might actually be beneficial moving forward. Who knows? So we'll just have to wait and see what happens in season 58, huh?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Let's see if we can dial up our top three finishers. Let's kick things off with the guy that brings it home third place here tonight, and that's Jeremy Jeffries. I mean, that's Josh Metallic.
I didn't think we did.
Hey, Josh, it's Justin Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yes, I do.
Well, man, I'll tell you what. I mean, kind of a tale of two races here this evening. Saw the long green flag run for pretty much a little more than half of this race. Saw you in that second pack for a majority of it, trying to catch back up to that lead group of three or four. Then the caution comes out, and all of a sudden, you've got a car that was able to get up to the front and stay at the front, able to keep them at bay for a number of laps and stay in the top three. Closing stages of that race, we know it's so unpredictable to determine if a caution is going to come out or if the race is going to end under green. I mean, if we'd had those extra 2 laps or so under green flag conditions, did you have anything there to have this 39 in victory lane?
I believe so. I don't think. I think the two cars that were, Jeremy and Grant. I think took two tires. They started up near the front, and when we first pitted, I came in from the lead. So I know I had four. I think they had two, but you never know. I didn't honestly expect it to go green. I just kind of rolled the dice, and I was gonna be more upset if I didn't take tires. Got beat by guys with tires, so it took four. Surprised I got up as far as I did before yellow came out. You knew it was going to be hard racing, so you never know. But I felt in a good spot till the yellow came out.
Well, hey Josh, good run, finishing third in the exhibition race, and good finish at the end of the year for you. But I am curious because you did talk about how Rodney and Grant took two tires, and I mentioned it to Seth earlier on when you guys were really far back there, like almost 3.5 seconds back from the pack of Schilling, Knopsker, and uh, Jeremy and all them at that point in time, and Sean. Was there any thought that was going through your mind at that point because of the long green flag run? Like, we might have to undercut it here to try something different to actually maybe gain time. Did you ever think about doing that at any point prior to the caution coming out?
Yeah, well, kinda. I mean, if we were close enough where we were maintaining, we just weren't catching, and I felt like if we could keep doing what we were doing, right before the yellow came out, we were getting them a little bit closer, but it's not like a Darlington where when you pit and then you get new tires, you're 2 seconds faster. I mean, yeah, it was basically full throttle. So, there's not much to be gained on old versus new. Passing is more difficult, older tires, but when you're just running in a single line train, you just weren't gaining a lot. Even if you did the undercut. Yeah, I got behind because I didn't have a great pit stop. I never thought in this race we would have green flag pit stops. I didn't practice it, and I was too slow on the first, and the next two I was good. But yeah, we were just everyone was all out, and there wasn't a lot of strategy other than hoping they caught some traffic at a bad spot and someone hit the wall and break up their pack. You're just kind of riding, waiting for the yellow, trying to stay, in striking distance, really.
Josh, we talked about the fact this is an exhibition race. It's the final opportunity to be able to, for you guys, the RTG guys, to be able to race together here in 2022. No points, no championship on the line. So, as a driver, for the mentality, what do you have going into a race like this? Is it an opportunity to get that final checkered flag of 2022? Is it an opportunity to be able to get some good momentum heading into the respective Series 58 season in 2023? I mean, what do you approach this race at before you even take the green flag?
You go in just expecting to have a good time. When there's no incident reports, there's no driver protests, there's no, none of that. You wreck. Oh well, you had a fun run. So it's just about having a good time. But yeah, once the green comes out, you're racing for the best spot, and you're competitive, and you're griping if someone blocks you or whatever. But it's just about having a fun run. I mean, if that was a points race, I probably would have taken 2 tires or stayed out. But I figured, why not? It's for fun. Let's wing it, see what happens. So just that alone, makes it good.
Well, Josh, a great way for you to be able to close out the year 2022. Third place performance here tonight in the Happy Holidays 200. Congratulations on a job well done. Great comeback there, being able to get back up in that lead group with the caution and be a contender for this victory here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for some thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks to Dave Cannon and Sean Prime and Sean Prime's wife. I know they they do so much behind the scenes people don't know about, just keeping this place up and running and dealing with things as they come along. So appreciate them as always, keeping the doors open, a good place to race. Tim and Wiley, my Thursday co-admins, and Jeremy Schilling and Rodney and Prime, all the Monday guys, and then the drivers. Without them, there's this isn't any fun, and there's nothing to do. So just thanks everyone, and you guys too. Another broadcast. Can't wait to go watch it. Can't wait to see what Tim did to bring out the yellow. It sounded pretty hilarious. So
Blame
um,
Seth.
what's that?
Anything with the yellow, blame Seth. But
May
I'm
have been
sure that
slightly
you love the
responsible.
yellow.
Hey, we needed the
May have hit
yellow,
him with-
so
may have
I
hit him with a
appreciate.
commentator's curse.
Yeah, I'll
Well,
tell
no,
Tim
no, no. I
thanks.
think Josh would have actually loved having the yellow because I actually put him in better contention.
It helped us out, so I owe Tim a thanks for that too. But yeah, that's it. I appreciate it.
That's Josh Metallic. He brings it home. Third place here tonight. Gets a podium to close out 2022. Congratulations, Josh. And we're looking forward to seeing what you're able to do in the respective series coming up here in the 2023 year.
Thanks again, and good win there, Jeremy.
Let's see if we can now get our second place finisher. I'll get the name right this time. See if we can dial up Grant Wesley.
Did you get
Grant,
the name right?
I got the name right. Grant, it's Justin Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
I'll tell you what, you had a fan club in our chat here tonight, and not too long before we ended up having the fan club make their comment, saw you get loose there, have that contact off of turn 2, nearly been into the inside wall. A great save. How in the world were you able to come back?
Oh man, yeah. So starting the race out, I qualified like eighth, or something like that, and I was just saving my tires there on that first run, and I did an excellent job of that. And it was getting late in the first run, so I was starting to make some moves towards the front. I think Tim may have used up his tires a little bit. He got a little wide off of 2, and he just barely brushed a wall. I don't even think he got damage from it, from what he said, but it just kind of bounced him down the track into me, and yeah, it knocked my car plumb sideways, and I locked up my brakes completely, and it straightened the car back out, and I let off the brakes, and I was able to keep going. So that was good, but I didn't have any tire left for the remainder of that run, so I was just doing everything I could to hang on. And luckily it was close to pit stops. I ran like 4 laps like that. I was able to pit, and then we came out, and we were I was in that second group, I was in the top 10. I was able to salvage a little bit. And man, this race, it just went green forever. I was like, man, come on, I need a caution. And so we were chipping away at those leaders, and eventually we would get our caution. And so put myself in a great position there at the end. I took 4 tires there with like 20 to go. And then we would get another caution. And I was debating on whether or not to take rights or none. I took none. I stayed out. There was only 3 of us that stayed out on old tires there for the last, like 9 laps or whatever. And the gamble was is that a caution was going to come out. I knew their aggression was going to jump up. It's just a fun race, so people were just going to probably take more chances. The caution did eventually come out, but it was a few laps down the road, so we ended up falling a little short. Congratulations though to Jeremy Jeffries. He ran a great race.
Grant, good job on the second place finish and the great comeback right there at the end. But I am curious, with you having the ability of not pitting, starting up front, and Rodney having the somewhat incident that he had, where he went way up and got the wall. Like, I don't know how hard that is to sit there with no tires whatsoever, knowing that the other guy that stayed out with you just hit the wall, and you got a whole bunch of guys behind you on completely good fresh Goodyear tires. How difficult is that to sit there and stay in that position and actually try to hold them off like you did?
Yeah, I mean, we had, I don't know, like 10 laps on those tires. They weren't real bad yet. So I felt like even if those guys with fresh tires were on my bumper, I could definitely run pace with them for at least a couple laps anyway. If it would have went green to the end, it'd be towards the end of the run where I would have really been worried about keeping up with them. I felt like I still had pretty decent pace though.
Obviously, Grant, this season in the Tally Challenge, you were up there at the front so many times. We saw you go to victory lane multiple times in the 57th season. This racetrack, Michigan, as well as Auto Club, many consider a super speedway type speedway. Obviously, there's some different factors between Talladega and Michigan. You don't have to worry as much about tire wear at Talladega as you had to here tonight, tire heat as well. But, we ended up talking with some drivers before we even came on the air, and they said, this is a momentum track. You get tremendous runs here, and your first thought is you have to take that momentum somewhere, because if you don't, there's another bunch of guys behind you that are willing to take that momentum from you and pass you for position. How difficult was it here tonight balancing knowing when to make the move and when not to make the move when you did get those runs?
Yeah, that's the hardest thing about this place is, you always get a run coming down the front stretch, especially coming down the front stretch, and turn one so wide. I mean, you got the guys that are saving tires are just entering so wide, and if you want to shortcut them, I mean, you can usually get right around them if you want. So, yeah, it takes a lot of patience. But yeah, it's a lot of fun at the same time. It's a lot like Talladega, and there's a lot of drafting here for sure.
Well, a tremendous night for you. Started this race from the top 10. We saw you have that incident, fell outside the top 20, and then right back up into the podium in the closing stages. Second place here tonight for you, Grant. Congratulations. Before we let you go, the floor is yours to thank some sponsors and do some shout outs.
Yeah, I'd just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We're closing out 2022, and it's been another great year. I've had a blast racing with these guys at Rolling Thunder. With that, I'd like to thank Sean and David Cannon here for the owners, for giving us such a great place to race. I'd like to thank you, Flatout Racing Network, Seth and Jess. You guys are the best at what you do. Looking forward to watching the broadcast back. I'd like to thank just all the admins here at RTG. Not going to go through them all, but yeah, thanks to all of you guys for putting this on. Thoughts and prayers with my girlfriend Brittany. She's working in Atlanta, Georgia. I know we got some weather on the way, some snow and ice. She'll be driving back home Friday, a little 6-hour drive. So, hopefully she stays safe. And I'd like to thank my teammates at XFM, my friends and family for watching, and my girlfriend Brittany.
That's Grant Wesley, brings it home second place here tonight in the Happy Holidays 200 at Michigan. Congratulations once again, Grant, and best of luck for the 2023 seasons.
Yep, thanks.
And let's now go down to Victory Lane if he isn't still lost in a snowbank. Let's see if we can talk with tonight's race winner, Jeremy Jeffries.
You might be drunk off of eggnog like me.
He could be. We might have waited too long. Jeremy, it's Justin Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
I do. Hello. Merry Christmas.
I'll tell you what, we talked about the season that you've had. You ended up having the championship in 3 series here this season. You were in the Final Four for the championship in the Tally Challenge, and you kicked things off here tonight, brand new number, and you put it in Victory Lane in the Christmas event. I mean, what a 22 year, and what a way to end it off.
Well, yeah, I've had a great year, and no better way to debut a new number one than by finishing number one.
So, is there anything we can do to stop you right now? Like, come on.
Apparently, put me in the championship 4 because that didn't work out very well.
Well, you get my point. Anyway, Jeremy, congratulations are in order indeed with this. We saw that you were up there like majority of the whole time. You had Schilling with you, you had Prime in front of you, you have Novska around you. Like the length that they were going with the green flag run, and then toward the end of that, did you at any point figure, well, there's a certain point where you want to become more aggressive than what you were, or was it just ride and see what happens? I mean, you had worn tires after a while, then you got the fresh tires back on. I mean, what point did you sit there and think, well, all right, it's time to go. I'm not going to play around anymore, even though it's an exhibition race. What time was it when you decided gloves are off, let's go for it?
You know, honestly, it probably looked like we were riding around there in single file, but we were pushing it hard. But once we got that gap on the second pike, we were trying to maintain it. So, yeah, the main goal was to stay in line there most of that race and try to pull away or at least maintain the gap. But we were not taking it easy. It was, I mean, there's a few times I almost hit the wall. I know Tim got into the wall pretty good. We were pushing it hard. But as far as when it was time to go, I was looking, with that 5 to go is pretty much the cutoff, the point of no return for a caution. So with, 7 or 8 laps, I was going to try to get that lead.
Yeah, so let's talk about that last restart there, because we ended up having a trio of drivers decide that they'd stay out, take that track position over tires. So you were kind of boxed in there. We saw a number of other drivers. Sean Prime ended up getting boxed in on that top side, but you were able to cut a path to be able to get to the front and keep them at bay. But I mean, did you just have to pick your moments there, or was having that tire advantage, was that what was able to get you past those other drivers and out in that clean air eventually to pick up the checkered flag?
It was a great call by the crew chief to take 2 tires. They definitely made a difference there at the end. We didn't have a ton of laps on them, but enough laps that I could still keep it on the bottom, and everybody else seemed to be pushing up. And I got a run there with assist from the 88 Grant, and we kind of went by the 00 there. And fortunately for me, the caution came out, and I didn't really have to race too hard for the win there because I'd gotten out pretty good with them racing side by side.
Yeah, so I was going to bring that up as well, with the fact that we saw that you were able to kind of keep them stacked up double file behind you. If we'd run those final 2 laps under green, would you have been able to keep that going, or do you think that you would have had to play even more defense with maybe them getting hooked up and somebody being able to get a run on you?
The runs were insane here. If you could get 2 cars together, you could get a heck of a run. So I think I was a sitting duck out there. I know Josh was coming, and I think he had 4 tires, so he had even better tires than I did. And if we ran those last 2 laps out, I don't know if I'd be sitting here at victory lane.
But we knew you had a strong car, kept it up inside of the top 3 pretty much the entirety of the evening. You bring it home with the win here tonight. Congratulations, job well done, season well done, year well done. Before we let you go, though, Jeremy, we're going to give you the floor and let you do some victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Oh, gosh. First off, thanks to you guys for the broadcast, as always. Seth, and Jessica, and Michael, Matt, Rodney. I don't even remember who all broadcast races this year, but everybody's done a phenomenal job. So thank you for that. RTG staff, the owners, admins, putting this together. I know Sean has a lot going on, and he still had time to get everything done for this race and make it a really good event. So that was fun. My sponsor, Toys for Tots, I brought them on for the Christmas race. It's a really good program. And like the side of my car says, donate now if you can. Grant there for helping me at the end. It's good to have him as a teammate. We're not the matching 8s anymore, so that's kind of a bummer. But, I like the way this one car, the direction it's headed. And the drivers, hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, it may have been a new number on the door and the roof, but it was the same driver behind the wheel, and Jeremy Jeffries parks it in victory lane here tonight for the Happy Holidays 200 at Michigan. Congratulations on a job well done, Jeremy. We'll let you get back to celebrating this victory here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was Jeremy Jeffries brings out 2022 with the final checkered flag of the season. Everybody else, along with Jeffries, now going to be looking forward towards 2023 and the different series beginning their 58th season. But I mean, what a race to close it out here for RTG in year 2022. I mean, saw a little bit of everything here tonight. We ended up seeing the green flag strategy at the end. It came down to late restart strategy, and overall, really a really good exhibition event here tonight with a nail biter at the end. I mean, you could have named off 15 different drivers that could have won this race after that caution came out and bunched them all back up.
We didn't have the fuel mileage race like it was a possibility at the at a certain point. I mean, we went on that long green flag run south. I thought that it was going to be a possibility with that fuel mileage, but you know, circumstances changed and the caution came out. But you know, even though you're a little bit of a Grinch by jinxing it, I'm going to keep harassing you for a while for that. I'm sorry, but anyway, even though the Grinch, which is you, caused the caution, we might not have had that epic of a finish that had we gone. I mean, don't get me wrong, we don't really want to see like a lot of issues like that. You know, we like to have it all the way go green flag, but I mean, yeah, it messed up a few drivers' chances at the end. You know, they were going for four in a row, kind of single file, pulling away and whatnot, but. I wonder what type of finish we would have gotten if we didn't have it. I mean, that was an epic, chaotic finish. I mean, no points on the line, no championship on the line, all going hard out just to try to get the win. And, you know, you hear them all. They're in good spirits, enjoying themselves. I mean, that's what it's all about for an exhibition race, Seth.
Absolutely, yes. There's no doubt about that. And you're absolutely right. I think that caution did change the landscape of the race. Could have been entirely different if we had continued to see this thing run under green flag conditions and maybe even had that final money stop under green flag conditions as well. You know, I brought this up to Metallic. And I'm going to ask you, obviously, this being an exhibition race, no points on the line or anything. But I mean, can an event like this, if you finish well, and then you have that little bit of a vacation, a little bit of a break until you get back to racing in 2023. But can a good finish here tonight, can momentum from an event like this be carried over into the start of whichever season or whatever series you end up running in season 58?
Well, knowing who you race against, who you race with, who you're comfortable pushing, who you're comfortable around and behind you and whatnot. Knowing this was a full flat out track, but it was more of a speedway, so it was a little bit tighter with the cornering and pitting and whatnot. I mean, you get a sense of, okay, this is how this guy drives me, and this is just for fun. This isn't actually serious. This is for fun. When it comes to serious, he's going to be more, you know, a little bit more forgiving, more than likely. You know what I mean? And, you know, even though it's like for fun, hey, I know how this person drives with me now. So I'm more comfortable knowing what this guy's going to do next season. And hey, guess what? He's going to help me. You know, I can work with this guy, and then all that momentum, you become more confident. Hey, we saw 3 wide, 4. Hey, I can run 3 and 4 wide on a flat out intermediate type track next to the wall or on the inside that pushes up. I can hold it. I can do it. So, and pitting, you know, if you made pit road decently tonight, I mean, hot pitting, getting used to it a little bit, that's going to play a big factor. So your confidence and your abilities kind of go up, your comfort level of who you're going to be racing around. You making friends, get more used to new allies and whatnot. Hey, it could be a big difference coming up, Seth.
Some really good points. Well, it's the final checkered flag of the year for RTG. It's our final broadcast of the year here as well for Flatout Racing Network. The next time that we'll be coming to you guys, it'll be 2023 on New Year's Day. We're going to be bringing you coverage of the 200 lap Figure 8 Dirt Endurance Race for Virtual 8 Racing. I took the opportunity to race with those guys last night, and I'm telling you what, firsthand experience, you are not going to want to miss it. It is going to be crazy.
Wait,
That will be on New Year's Day. I believe the green flag is going to be flying around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to tune in for that one. But
so with that being said, Seth, the event coming up, are you sure you're not going to race that? Or are you going to commentate that one?
I'm telling you what, I was the moving chicane in that race that I was in last night. I was not a contender. So no, I'll be more than happy to watch
You
the
told
carnage
me
up
you
here in the
enjoyed
booth.
it, though.
I did enjoy it. I mean, you enjoy it running last place even. I mean, it's an incredible experience, and yeah, it's going to be fun to be able to call it up here in the booth. I'm going to try as hard as I can not to laugh when drivers visit a different atmosphere. But nonetheless, a Merry Christmas to everybody that tuned in here tonight and during the course of this entire year. We appreciate your support. Jess, obviously, really enjoy having you here in the booth, whether it be for the special events. We've had you up in the booth for some of the Tally Challenge races, All-Star races, and man, it's been a great 2022. Appreciate you joining me one last time here this year up in the commentators booth.
And I really appreciated given the opportunity to do it again. And you know, you and I have talked about it. My plans for the next 4 or 5 months of me relaxing, taking a little bit of time off just to chill because of real life work and whatnot. It may be a little bit more, if possible, that I may be joining the commentary booth a little bit more. So who knows?
Well, we're looking forward to that. Again, thanks to everybody that tuned in tonight. We will obviously see you ringing in the new year with our first broadcast of that Dirt Endurance race on New Year's Day. But until then, for Jessica Shelton, I'm Seth Cole. Have a very Merry Christmas, everybody. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
Seth is a mean one.
Mr. Grunch.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.